Hello, and welcome to a gaming conversation with friends 20 minutes later. We're back on we're back on StreamYard. It's actually working. It
Not
is.
really.
Is it not working?
It is. Don't freak him out. Come on, please don't do that.
They're all going to go, if anyone actually joins, they're all going to go in and go, I can't hear anyone.
I can hear everybody. I'm checking. I'm looking on your YouTube, so don't worry. I can hear. I can see everything now, and it's perfectly working fine. You know.
Are we live?
Yes,
we are.
We are. Luke's just messaged me asking if you want another guest, he's free. Yes.
Honestly, I think at this stage it'll probably break StreamYard.
It probably will. We'll probably break it.
Okay,
Right.
Because on the YouTube, it's just saying stubzgaming.
Yeah, you can.
No, click on the actual. So just go to Stubbs, go to his channel, and it'll come up with what's live. Click on the live bit, and you'll see it.
Okay, let's try.
Right, you can hear everyone loud and clear now.
Okay,
see if you can. Right, welcome to our gaming conversation with friends. 20 minutes later. We are actually 20 minutes later, but sorry about that, everyone. Now we recap. You all missed it. How's your holiday? Removable sanity for the third or fourth time.
I'm sure everyone. Yeah, exactly. As I said for the last 4 times. So, no, it was really good. It's good. For those who don't know, who aren't from the UK, I went to a place called the Lake District. It's up north. It's in a lot of mountain and lakes areas, hence the reason why it's called the Lake District. It's pretty much of green, mountainous. And for those who are familiar with a little bit of the English culture and the 80s, and you've seen a particular cartoon called Postman Pat, it's exactly like that. So feel free to Google or YouTube Postman Pat, and you'll see what I'm just talking about in terms of like the look. But no, it was good. It was good. It gave me a break. It gave me a week away from the social media.
That's good to hear. That is. It's always nice to get away. It is. But you're fed up with talking about it now because we've talked about that much. Have you missed some good stories too? Because it all messed up.
It's one of those things. It was good. I mean, as I said, with children, you're kind of just picking them up from one location, moving to another location, and that's it really. But it was a nice break from where it is. Obviously, it's nowhere near as nice as Masuku's, seeing the pictures he provides. But yeah, it was a good break to kind of get my head away from work. But then, of course, now I'm back at work. I've kind of got a week's worth of work to catch up on. So take it as it is. Anyway, I'm sure you enjoyed you enjoyed a day without me.
We always miss you. Removable.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I heard you in chatting with Friendly Pest. Didn't miss me at all. Didn't even mention me once. You did. Yeah, you did. I was about to say you did. Normally after with the words "thank God." He's not here.
Yes, thank God that you exist and that you're coming back and not being there stranded with Mr. Stubbs.
Look, you had a lovely guest on last time. He agreed with everything you said. What more do you want? You don't. It was a perfect guest.
Honestly, he actually didn't. He was getting quite frustrated. You could tell because he did not like all the agreeing with him. He doesn't like it.
See, that's why I can't. Me and VJ I agree with a lot of things he say, but I don't always agree, don't I? I do have some pushback.
I think towards the end, Pest was just doing it to bug him because he told him, I don't like all this agreeingness.
No, you must have pushback, otherwise you cannot evolve your thinking. And even though sometimes I might hear something and I agree with it, I really do try hard to sort of sit on the other side of the bank.
Well, that's what as you
try
normally
to-
say, isn't it?
try to
If
oppose
it
it, because
exactly, yeah,
because otherwise it's not being stress tested. If it's not being stress tested, then you might as well just be sheep.
exactly, yeah. No. As I said, if there's a conversation where everyone starts to agree with everything, you know me on this show, I become devil's advocate.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to.
You
do
know,
that.
just to
Otherwise,
kind
how
of
are
do
we going
some
to evolve?
opposition. Yeah. You have to have a devil's advocate, whether or not it's regardless of it. It's a good thing for life in general. You need a devil's advocate. You need pushback on every single thing, because it's life is boring without some sort of diversity in terms of thinking and ideology.
Your way of saying that you're very annoyed that Stubbs hasn't brought on someone from a specific gentleman that we know from Finland.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say anymore. I'm sure he worked it out already. What we were talking about.
What, Masuke?
Wow, he's caught on.
You should have said something, shouldn't you?
It's just kidding. It's just that removable mention diversity and people from other walks of life. So,
well, to be fair, the reason I mentioned diversity because Stubbs was talking to me in the chat and he did say he wanted Andrew Tate on the show. And I told him I don't have the person, I don't have the contacts where I can't help him out.
Who is Andrew Tate? Please educate me.
Let's just drop it because no, that's not.
I'm not sure who Andrew Tate is.
Doesn't matter.
Lost me.
Let's skip past that. Anyway, welcome to the chat, Masuku, Bimba. Thanks for popping in the second time round. But yes, it's we're back again. Back once again with the
Renegade Master. Yay! And you've got and the only thing is obviously this we've got a black background today, whereas last time you had a blue background with literally nothing. You had you had a perfect opportunity to put a big picture across it.
I was expecting a slideshow of your holiday removable. I'm very disappointed.
I don't think blurry photographs and and thumbprints is going to be the thing that is going to be the beneficial. I mean, I posted what I deem appropriate and a certain amount on Twitter. It's because I'm very dubious about what I post when it comes to family and friends and the location of where I am. I have seen before where if you post too much information, people can kind of find your house and go back, So I kind of, Planet Coaster. Who could have bought that, eh? Oh, yeah. Sounds familiar.
Who could have bought that? I didn't realize how old
Thank you.
I didn't realise how old the game was.
Yeah.
Recently for $9.99. And it seems it's taken my household by storm.
I'm surprised you didn't get the one that I showed you.
Which one was that?
Oh, God. Do you actually look at any of the reviews I do?
Did you review
this?
I've
done a review on Planet Coaster.
It wasn't Planet Coaster, but I did mention Planet Coaster.
Yeah.
Which game was it then?
Oh, for crying out loud, Stubbs. Come on.
I'm trying to remember. Was it on sale, though?
No, it wasn't on sale. What are you? Is everything you ask for is on sale, isn't it? Okay. Park Beyond.
Park Beyond. That's it. That's it. This was $9.99. That's why I got it. Really, if that was $9.99, I would have picked it up. It's a bit too early to go up to be $9.99. That game is. It's
a little bit too early. Yes, a little bit too early at this stage. Yeah. But it is worth it. I must admit, it is a very fun game. If you like Planet Coaster, you'll really will like Park Beyond.
Well, the reason I bought it was $9.99. Mrs. liked the look of it, and I was like, when I used to play Theme Park World years ago on the PC, used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's back on PC now, actually.
I think it is, yeah.
And on mobile. I used to really like it, but I didn't realise by buying it that the entire house would want to play it as well. Because when Mrs. has been playing, I don't mind, but basically been playing in the sandbox mode, where you've got unlimited funds and everything. But it's really good. But you learn the game as well. So as you get better at it, I might try and play bits of the campaign.
Yeah, see, that's the one thing I did like about Park Beyond. The campaign explains how the
it's not too
different abilities and different factions and different aspects all work really well. It builds it up nice and slowly, so that by the time you've completed the campaign, you know exactly what to do regarding the sandbox mode. But the sandbox mode is then equally as challenging, depending on what you wish to do.
That's fair enough. I mean, I don't know if there's a tutorial mode for this game. I just jumped into sandbox mode. Everything's free, unlimited money. So
that's what I thought.
It is quite good because obviously you can raise the prices and you can do all.
Oh, exactly. It's got the intricacy that you want it to be there, but also it's got the fun factor. If you just want to focus on the fun factor, again, it's like one of the reasons why I like the Park Beyond. It was literally you can be as complex or as lax and simplistic as
probably will pick it up at some point when it's cheaper, probably. But it does look good. But I just thought, to be fair, I played this on Game Pass when it was. This was on Game Pass at one point. I'm sure it was.
I think it was, yes.
I didn't. It didn't really click, but it was the sandbox mode that made me click. What did I do? I don't know what I did with the OBS Discord settings. Yeah,
he fiddled with it. That's what he does. He likes to fiddle with things.
I don't know.
Honestly,
what I did.
You could put him next to nothing, and he'll find something to fiddle with. It's what Stubbs does.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I don't know what I did.
What I say is, how many times I told you, get a template, write it down, keep all the settings in one template, and then should you ever have a problem, you can go straight back to that template.
That's what I thought I did, but I didn't do the writing down bit. But I don't know what I did. I haven't really, to be honest, since the last stream, I haven't really been on OBS. I don't believe I have. I went on it earlier, and that was just before the show started to bring the video up. And the audio from OBS wasn't coming through.
Well, as I said, on the very last one that you messed around with, I could hear me and VJ, but we were exceptionally quiet.
But you're on full blast on OBS audio.
Yeah, so it sounds like something must be an audio thing because it was actually capturing everything. I just don't think I think it was an audio. It must be a mix or tuner that you've got us down like 0.
I've probably done something wrong. It's normally my fault. I've normally clicked some button that's messed everything up. So I won't exactly blame OBS or Discord. It's probably something I've done.
You do like to fiddle.
Yeah. But no, this coaster tycoon, this coaster Planet Coaster is quite good. It is, but
yeah, as Indy said, it's probably something about your output settings. Yeah, most likely.
It's probably something I've messed about with it. I don't remember doing it though, but I could have done. Welcome to Indie Gamer. But yeah, that's what I've been playing pretty much. Planet Coaster since I bought it.
Planet Coaster.
Even my son's got, because you know how you get Game Share, actually on his console, and he's actually playing it. Do
you know I've never used Game Share?
He's had it for ages on Game Share. He's never actually played any of the games on it. But this one he wanted to play this, and to be fair, he's actually playing Planet Coaster.
That's good.
Regular. He likes it. I thought the minute he's seen it, so I want this on my Xbox. I was like, I have to see if it's on there, because see if it works. I went on his Xbox, and he was in there, and I game share with him. I game share Game Pass because you can game share Game Pass. But he's never normally interested in any of the games.
Oh, that'd be good to keep him busy.
It's normally Roblox or Minecraft or I do play Fortnite with him as well. To be fair,
so you're telling me you don't play Gears with him then?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't like it. Plus, it's not age rated. It's not age appropriate for him, really. It's not. But he wouldn't really like that. He wouldn't really like it. I mean, obviously, Fortnite's it's all right, but it's a bit bloody. The Gears is for him. He's saying that though, he may have watched it before on YouTube without even realising. But it's normally Roblox and and things like this he watches.
What about you, VJ? What did you been playing besides obviously Zelda?
I think that Zelda's.
Taking you over.
I was just going to say, looking at Planet Coaster. I mean, I hope I understood you correctly, Mr. Stubbs. But there's nothing better than something that brings the family together in terms of a game. So if that's taking your household, and I think you make your children, then I think that's fantastic. And the one. I mean, I've just seen the little trailer just now. One thing that the game really does depict for me is the fashion sense in Rutland, and it's a big thumbs up for me in that context. And just for full disclosure, I was saying to Removable in Discord once you'd left that one of Stubbs' is how can I put it, endearing proclivities is to fiddle with his more inquisitive muscle, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Hence the unwelcome issues with Discord. But anyway, yeah, I think Removals hit it right on the head. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has pretty much been on my TV screen exclusively. No current content on PlayStation and little to no content on Xbox. That I'm
It's telling me you didn't hit the DLC for MechWarrior 5.
No, I actually Removable. It hasn't. It's been on sale, but nowhere near that 40% off. So I'm just waiting for that. I'm sure it will come, but it just depends if I've moved on to anything else. But
that's
Zelda,
true.
I think Zelda. I'm about 350 hours in, and I'm probably 5 to 15 hours away from completion, depending on how many of the side quests I decide are compelling enough to complete. But overall, it's just been a really bright game. Incredibly spirited, and I really enjoyed it. And
you had a lot of luck with games recently. You had.
It's going to be a little bit sad though when I finally complete.
I'm sure Diablo 4 will help you push through that.
Fair. I mean, you had MechWarrior 5 with about 300 hours, and
that was difficult. That was a difficult game to let go of as well. I
thought he's never going to jump into another game where he's going to absolutely truly love it and spend hundreds of hours in it.
Silk Song.
And then you found Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda while I was waiting for Silk Song. And Zelda's a phenomenal game. And I don't know if you weren't on the show last week, Marubal, but I was, obviously I was watching the 4 or 5 part documentary on Hayao Miyazaki Studio Ghibli. And I was rewatching.
I have watched part of that, and it's quite good. I watched half the first show.
Try to get to the end of it. I mean, you don't have to watch it all in once. Watch it in pieces. But I was saying, Removal, I somehow managed to, fortunately, get a free subscription to HBO over here for about 6 months, and they had all the Studio Ghibli movies on there, all of them, pretty much. And so
perfect.
I started watching those again, and obviously playing Zelda simultaneously. And I think I won't go into it now, but basically what I mentioned is that the impact that those movies have had on creators, and especially
culturally is immense.
Yeah, you're right in terms of on video games, but it's really completely personified in Breath of the Wild, and even more so in Tears of the Kingdom in terms of use of color, in use of enemy designs, animations, even world building, soft and hard. It's pretty phenomenal, even down to a few nods of the head, shall we say, in terms of directed choreography and pieces, but obviously with different characters and locations. But you can see the semblance there is quite there. But there's still so much in the Ghibli movies that the director came out. I know it's not Shigeru Miyamoto, I forget the gentleman's name, but he said that he already knows what he wants to do for the next game. And then watching the Disney movies, I kind of get an idea of what he wants to do. You can
see maybe the path he's taking. Put it this way, my partner is not...
The movies that he's taking to influence the game that he's
going to.
It's phenomenal, Removable, phenomenal. You would love
it. To put it in context, my partner is not an anime fan in any shape or form, and yet she has watched every Studio Ghibli film they have produced.
There you go.
We did one. I did one with her. It was Takashi's Castle. Say it. And from that moment on, we've watched every single one since, and she absolutely adores them.
I love that documentary.
You can tell from it said it does transcend cultural tastes that studio has. I think it has hit a core nerve, and they've managed to keep that nerve throughout whatever they've done. I don't think of any other studio. I'm trying to think of any other studio. VJ, you might be able to help me out. Probably has got close to, I would say, hit after hit after hit. It's hard to determine which other studio it is, because each film is its own almost ethos. Its own ethos that it just captures people.
It's removable. When you watch those documentaries, one thing you'll find is two things you'll find. One, that my takeaways, the effort that the struggles that he has in actually creating the movies from a creative perspective when he hits a slump or he can't think through. And secondly, he puts that much effort into his movies whereby he has almost two personalities. One, as a person speaking to you as a human being, and secondly, as a director of a movie. It's almost two different people. Just what I saw. Yeah. Thirdly, what I saw is that he doesn't want to release a movie that he can't finish or has a fear of finishing. He wants to complete the movies as quickly as possible and on schedule, which a lot of directors don't. Is that he has a feeling that he doesn't want to release a movie that will bring embarrassment or shame to the studio, and more so to himself, is what he's saying.
Yeah, it was almost like a reverence to his work that is, he, as you said, it's more devastating for him to put out a poor product, and that is the artistic nature of a true artist. You're forever chasing perfection. Yeah, and yeah, come on.
Sorry, just the final point I wanted to make, so to help you round out your own point, is is that what I didn't know was his life growing up as a child, seeing the war, what happened to his mother, who his father was, how he interpreted his father, and who his father actually was, and what he saw, and the actions that he took his father take, and how those themes, he stays true to those, and that they resonate throughout all of his films. So there's actually him taking, all the joy, all the pain, all the grievances, all the
human characteristics.
Everything that all of his experiences are personified in those movies in one shape, way, or form of other, but with a childlike sense imbued into those perspective, imbued upon almost as an education. But you'd have to. I
say childlike. I wouldn't say childlike. It's a tough one, because I think the artistic style can capture a child's imagination, but the story and the reverence, not the story,
but the perspective of him as a child watching, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Oh, but the themes or the visuals or the style is all child. No. Because that there's because of the life that.
I was about to say there is a very much a strong adult. Yeah. It's almost like it's almost poetic. Was it? Because it's not poetic. It was Shakespeare very good. He was always poetic. What was his favorite? It was not damsels in distress. It was I can't think of it. Oh God, don't say that. Christ, no. It was almost. I can't think of the actual theme. It is not satire. It's not depression. It's a kind of sadness. I'm trying to think of what it's called. Term it's kind of gone from my brain, but it's a melancholy sort of experience that transcends, and he has that way of making a good story out of that melancholy. In some cases, there's always some sort of poignance.
Indy's just said that word what you just mentioned.
Yeah,
you said it.
That's it. This is the thing with my brain. Sometimes I'm trying to think of the blooming term and I cannot think of it, and then it's like something. 20 minutes later it'll come up and go. It comes through. But yes, melancholy. That's it. Yeah, and it's a superb way of telling a story and then getting you through and bringing you through along that story and kind of coming out at the end of it. It's a journey in itself. All of his films seem to be a journey in itself.
I
you
need
go
to watch
through.
some of these because I'm watching a documentary. I'm halfway through the first episode.
You won't. I think VJ Breakfast. I don't think you'll find there is a film of his that you won't enjoy in some sort of form.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a studio that I'm trying to think of a studio that has put out so many. Each one brings their own variety of different fans with them. Everyone has a unique set of fans. It's like he brings in more fan base with every story he tells, and the stories are very different as well. But each one creates a brand new fan base, and that is why it's just. Again, it's like depending on your mood, there's something for everything.
Stubbs, I'll tell you this. Yeah, is that I'll tell you what. Me and Removal will just bookmark this, and maybe we'll talk about it in a week or 2 weeks, depending on when you finish the four-hour documentary in 4 episodes. Yeah. But I bet you any money after you've watched those 4 episodes, you'll come to learn a lot about production in general, not just about games or movies.
That's interesting because
they're just canvases.
I'm no good. No, I need to go for sleep.
And you'll want to. And you'll want to spend your points on rather than spend your points on Planet Coaster. You'll want to purchase those movies and watch them with the family. And then we'll talk.
Beautiful.
And then we'll talk Stubbs because I think
that'll be a lot of convincing viewpoint on it to see if I can get them to watch it.
I think. Oh, trust me. I think it'd be fair. Put it this way. What's the one? VJ. What's the one with the black shadow that follows the little girl around? Oh God. Spirited Away, right? My son is 6. He's watching that. He absolutely loves it. And I would not believe that's a 6-year-old sort of movie. He doesn't get the intricate themes of it, but he absolutely adores it. And it's just one of those things. It popped on, on his tablet because we try to curate his tablet time a bit as well, and it just popped up. I think it was as like a PG rating. I don't know how. I think it's actually PG-13, but I think somehow it popped onto his one, and he absolutely is forever watching it again and again and again. So Pocoyo, he loves that one with the fish.
Okay. It's that the one with the fish.
Ponyo, sorry. Ponyo, yes.
He's doing that in the first episode. I've heard of that one.
Ponyo, yeah. Sorry, but I keep saying Pocoyo.
He's such a... See, what Marubal was saying, he doesn't know any other studio. I don't know any other director that draws up storyboards for a movie by himself before actually creating a script.
Yeah, I have got that from it because he said I don't...
He doesn't even know how the movie's going to end. He has no idea. He just gets.
He got mad at one point. He says, "Don't film this. Don't film this. I need to go for a sleep." And he did. Then he was all right after his sleep.
Because it is what it is. His brain's working through the story in his own head. He's creating it there and then. And if it's not perfect to him, it's not perfect. And that's the creator's curse. Regardless of whether you're creating something online, every creator has a curse of which you fiddle and you pick around and you want it to be the very best you can be. You are your worst critic. As a creator, everyone will know this. If you create anything, you are your worst critic. It's, don't get me wrong, there are other critiques out there who attack your work and stuff, but you'll never be as harsh as yourself. And that's the creator's curse. And it just radiates from him in such a visceral way that it's like another extreme. It really is an extreme for him, from what I'm seeing.
He's a creative savant.
Yeah, that's the best way. Yes, the creative savant. That's the word I was trying to think of as well. Yes, hit the nail on the head. Well done, VJ.
You know some serious words, Removable. My work here is done.
It's strange. I do have a little bit of terminology expanse, I would classify it, but also my brain then shuts off at the same time, so I'm left fumbling for stupid bloody words I can't think of. I'm just like, that's the frustration of it. I've got some really good terminology stuck in my head, but when I want to feel like I'm a bloody use it, I can't use it.
But the thing with I don't know anything about his latest movie, but it was released just a couple of weeks ago, right? Removal, The Boy and the Heron. How do we live, or how do you live? And
I haven't seen it yet, and I'm holding off.
But I'm pretty certain. Yeah, it's releasing here towards the end of the year, and there's nothing online that I've seen. There was no marketing for it, no advertising. That's how he wanted it.
Exactly. Yeah.
No information out there whatsoever.
It's going to be again word of mouth, and word of mouth. It looks like it's another banger.
Yeah. What I was going to say is that even though he's retired about 17 times, is that within him you can see that fire within him. The consistency, the composure, the craft, the cohesiveness, that the consciousness that he has, right, to master everything that he's seen in his life that is conflictive and somehow bring it to today's society and culture in terms of educating them and entertaining them at the same time without even the audience realizing.
He'll never retire. I think there's too many stories and too much experience that just pushes his brain to keep creating. He has to keep creating.
Spot on. You're spot on. He has that something in the pit of his stomach saying there is just still something that I still need to do.
Yeah, and as Indy said, it can be a curse if it gets the better of you. 100% it can. And for him, I think it is a curse, but at the same time, I think it is also his release. That's why the documentary, The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, is so apt as a title. Exactly. Yeah. He has the dreams, and it's the madness of creating those dreams, and he has to create them because the madness will just envelop him. And that's the creator's struggle.
Sorry to keep interrupting. I just want us both to get it spot on, sort of thing. Just really, to get the
not at all.
Because Masuko will criticize us to death otherwise.
There's another one of our one of our friends, Masuko, who again is another anime fan, and he consistently imparts his knowledge of certain anime topics to us, and it's intriguing and interesting to see it from different perspectives. But Masuko, he's a bit like VJ. He'll be surprised at what his knowledge is. He doesn't speak about it. We should probably get an anime channel at some point, because I think all three of us would probably be able to kind of talk about some of our fan favorites. But that's not what we're here for, is it, Stubbs? We're here to find about Gear 6, isn't it?
Tell him we're here to convert him. This was all a conversion process. We were trying to get him to turn him into a Cyberman.
I think if he watches that documentary, here's one for you, VJ. What film would you say to Stubbs his family should watch that you believe would probably captivate them?
Howl's Moving Castle.
All right, it's a very good one. Yeah, Howl's Moving Castle. Or Ponyo.
I was just going to say Ponyo because I haven't taken into consideration the age of his children.
I was about to say Howl's Moving Castle can be pretty dark, but I can
dark but beautiful. Come on, Removable.
Yes, very dark but beautiful. Very dark but beautiful. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's not scary, but it hits some dark themes. But it comes out with some beautiful themes as well. It's like a rainbow. It takes you to the dark and the light in a mixture of times all the way through the film.
And it ends in radiance.
Yeah, but in terms of probably age for younger audiences, Ponyo would be the best one.
Okay.
I just watch that with one of your little ones and see what happens.
See if I can actually get them to watch it past.
I don't know. Just put it on. Just watch it yourself when the kids are in the background.
Yeah, watch the documentary.
And I can guarantee you, the kids walk in, because that's what I did. I was watching Ponyo, and my little one walked past. Was like, he sat down and he didn't move for 2 hours.
It's
Wow.
not about whether you think that they will or won't like it. That shouldn't
No.
be in your thoughts, because the movies themselves harness a spirit, a brilliance, a resonating energy that captures anybody that watches them. Because you'll never find anybody I haven't come across personally in all my years anyone that has had a bad word to say about a Ghibli movie. Maybe Ghibli movie. Maybe I'm just very sheltered. But there you go.
To be honest, I don't think I can say the same. I don't think I've heard of anyone negatively saying something about it. They've all, if anything, I said the only thing I could have heard of is they're frustrated they haven't seen all of them, or they don't know there's more of them around.
And if you've watched Ghibli movies and you've played Zelda, and Zelda, who knows, Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have probably sold a combined 40 or 50 million units. Those games personify the Ghibli movies to an nth degree. So you can understand, that you know how many hours I put into Zelda, and you know the screenshots that I've been sending you, even though they've been phone captures, is that if that game itself, or the trailer itself has some sort of impact on you, then you can only imagine that if it's been taking its inspiration and more from those movies, you can only imagine those movies have got to offer you in turn, because they are the source, Mr. Stubbs. I don't know any better way of putting it.
Indie Gamer has got a good comment in there if you want to read it, removable. I might get it wrong. He's got a good comment there from the creation standpoint.
As a creator all my life through many different mediums, playing in bands, writing music, YouTube, photography, etc. From my experience, you can never be fully happy, but you can learn to harness it. This is true. And as I said, it's a curse. It's a curse, regardless of what it is. As a creator, you're forever frustrated because you forever feel that you're never fully achieving the best you can be. And as Indy rightly points out, if you can harness that, you can do some amazing things. You'll never be fully satisfied yourself, but everybody else may be around you. Maybe it is a curse. Stubbs has gone quiet.
No,
yeah,
just been taking it in. I am.
So what have you been playing in, Stubbsy Wubsy, or have you been playing it?
What have you been playing? You've been on holiday, haven't you? You probably can't say what you've been playing. You're usually reviewing some game.
Yeah.
Removal. Yep. You did mean besides the Inquisitive Muscle, right?
Yes. Yes, I am reviewing a couple of games at the moment, and the one that I'm hoping to finish off and get hopefully out this week will be called De-Exit. External Matters.
Now, is it a AAA or is it an indie? Because you've expanded into the AAA field. You have. Not by choice, by luck. Very much luck. As I said, the last one I did was Aliens: Dark Descent. I would probably put that as a. Would I class it as a AAA? I don't know. Possibly, yes. And that was just by pure luck, really. It was a very much the publisher said yes when I asked for it. It was an intriguing game. It was a game that I didn't think would probably do as well as it has done. The hook that got me in was that it was an Aliens game with a tactical RPG element to it. And as you know, Stubbs, with Gears Tactics, it can either go really well or it can fall flat in its face. And I was just shocked, really shocked at how they managed to capture the environment, the sounds, the mood of the aliens, aliens film and franchise in a tactical RPG. It's as I said in my review, it's Aliens Dark Descent does for Aliens as what Alien Isolation does for Alien.
it is a superb game. It's the mood, the tensity of your choices. Everything is just well done, and it's from a genre that I didn't expect it to hit. I expected it from like a third person, maybe shooter, maybe even a first person shooter sort of thing. From a tactical experience, I've never seen it hit this much of atmosphere before, which now kind of gives me hope that these tactical RPGs are evolving into something else, because I think there has been a little bit of a stagnation, and I kind of miss them, because it's one thing that I kind of grew up on as a PC player.
There was a lot more of them. There was a lot more of them back then, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I grew up on Gears of War, StarCraft. Those were my two go-to games. When I was in a PC.
I'd love to hear that. I think I might have to show tomorrow, clip that bit where he's talking about Gears of War.
Gears of War as well as in terms
more hardcore than me, VJ. He's completely Gears of War 1 on insane mode. Yes.
Yeah, well, Gears of War, but also it was me. It was Gears of War was a good thing. I was
actually finished it.
Yes, ironically, yeah. Dawn of War was also was my other technical game. I kind of got mixed up. Dawn of War and StarCraft, but I was a Gears of War fanatic as well until about the fourth one. So, yeah. Say where you are on those things there. So,
well, the robots shouldn't have added them stupid robots, should they?
I think it was a unique choice to kind of evolve the franchise, but unfortunately, I think what they needed, the biggest problem at the moment is that Gears protagonists hold the Gears series up. They need the protagonists to either evolve so they can continue with the franchise. And currently at the moment, the protagonist which they are setting up as the next protagonist for the next series or the next evolution of the Gears doesn't hold up.
You don't think Kate Diaz holds up then?
I was not invested in her as I was with Dom and Mark Phoenix and
the old bloke.
Yes.
Yeah. And even I mean, God, my brain's going again. It's really bad. Apologies. This is the holiday brain. Even Carmine. Carmine. Those characters. I was addicted to them in some format. But the new ones, I don't feel a connection, and it's maybe that's it.
The problem is they can't keep continuing with Marcus as the protagonist because
he's getting old.
Basically, he looks old in the game too. He can't. But
the only way I can see it ever happening, and they can do it once, is a prequel to the Gears. The war starting, and you find out what Marcus did to get locked up, like they did for it was in actually 4, didn't they? They found that they did in 4. I can't think of his name now. What's it begins with B? Baird. On 4 they did the Baird. How he started him off getting being trialed, and then they go through the history. They could probably do that with Marcus, because at the beginning of the first one he's locked up. But
can I just ask? We are talking about Silk Song, aren't we? Because I'm a bit lost now.
Yeah,
I thought so.
It's the one. It's very similar. It's a very similar ending, I've heard.
So you don't know why he got locked up then?
Well, you know why he got locked up, yes. But what I'm saying is you could you never play it. If I remember correctly, it's mentioned in the first game. My brain's gone exactly what it was. I'll have to replay the game to remind myself. I'm sure it was.
He was put in jail because he disobeyed orders to
Yeah.
abandon his father, Adam, who was trapped by the Locust Horde in an enemy race.
Yeah,
There's a lot more to that story. It's not as
well, that's what I say. That's what I said. It's not. I think it's picked. You see a little bit. Is it in the second or third one? No, it's the third one. When you find about. What's the second one? No, Marcus's dad's in the second one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you find a little. You find a bit more about the story of Marcus's dad in the second one than what they went through, but you never see. You never see the actions of where he led him to number one. So that's what I'm saying. The only way they could do that.
Because there's loads of lore that could explain all of that. It's all in the books.
Oh god, yeah, exactly, yeah. So, but I'm saying that's kind of it's that's the only thing I can think of where they can go to next. Otherwise, they're going to have to pass it on to the younger generation, and currently the younger generation are just boring and whiny.
I don't know.
Sorry, remember when you say pass it on to the next or the younger generation.
Well, so what I was saying, so for instance, Marcus and Dom and Coltrane.
You mean in terms of the characters?
They have siblings. Sort of siblings. They have not siblings. They have children, and these are the next. They're setting up these as the next protagonists for the future Gears franchise.
It depends how it rolls, because the way Gears 5 ends depends how Gears 6 starts. Because I don't think they're gonna. I think Gears 6 has already laid out the foundations. The studio's already made their mind up, I believe. They're not going to let you play two versions of Gears 6, but I don't know what character you chose to save. I'm not.
I understand that, but at the same time, it's still the same people. It's still the same people you don't care about.
But I hazard a guess who'd have saved Marcus's son. That's my guess.
I think so, but at the end of the day, it's still people you don't care about.
No, you've got. They haven't built up the stories for JD.
No,
or they haven't built up them stories. You don't really care about them.
That was the first game.
I care more for Kate Diaz because there's more to it. Because you realise that her mum is Queen, and Grant is Queen.
That was cheap. That was cheap, honestly.
You could have done it better than that. I know.
Oh, it was. Do you know what? That reminded me of like a Sunday afternoon sitcom sort of writing. It's like, okay, it's like, come on, you can tell the difference in writers.
Because when people realise, a lot of people will realise that. See, a lot of people think Queen Mara is obviously like not human. But the majority of people don't realise that she's actually human.
Of course she is, yeah. They actually, I think they tell you that in the third one, if I'm correct.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't pay attention to it.
No, and the trouble...
1, 2, and 3 had great story writers. Gears 4, not so much, obviously. Gears 5, not bad. Gears 5 Hivebusters, where VJ might jump in, had a great writer, story and narrative.
That went better because it was like a mini version, and you actually felt again connected to these characters. They made the characters. That's the thing that wound me up.
That was a showpiece, and they missed that showpiece.
That showed off a really good. You were connected to that squad. You were connected to the people who were in it. You enjoyed their company and you really cared about them. And yet that small piece did more. I felt more for that squad than I did the entire of Gears 5.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people say that
it was confined, clear, concise, and connected.
Exactly. Yes. Where it just felt, as I said, it just didn't feel that with the Gears 5. And then
it's because in the Gear 5 story, there's a lot of bits where they say things, then don't expand on what they meant.
Well, they rushed through it. It felt rushed. It felt rushed through it. The Gears 5 felt rushed. If they had taken your time to spend time with the youngsters, seeing them as a squad, you could have got to meeting Marcus in Gear 6. You could spend
Yeah,
the whole of
definitely.
Gears 5, get into like, we've got to get to my dad, you've got to get to Marcus, as you did with, like, Gears 1 and 2. You could have spent that time, that's picking it up. A whole game could have been you connecting with that squad. And no, actually, you got to Marcus's in probably around the second episode or third episode. I can't remember now. See, I can't even remember because it's not even that memorable.
No, as a Gears fan, I do agree that I hope, this is what I hope, Gears 6 is more like Hive Busters in the way.
This is the thing I don't see. If now I don't see how they're going to do that. And do you know what? Do you know what the biggest thing?
Narrative and a hook and everything.
I think. Do you know what my gut feeling is? My prediction is I think they're going to get a sloppy writing in, and they're going to get and are preemptive now. So don't, Gears fans, hate me. I reckon Marcus will die in 6, saving his son from Queen Mira. Bam. That's how crappy I think the writing.
You're right though. I mean, because I was listening to. I didn't read it. I listened to Cliff Blasinski's book, and everyone says he's the real reason that Gears is so good. But he learned a lot. He was a young guy at the time, and he actually learned a lot from Rod Ferguson. He didn't understand the nuances of how to. How stories were, how they interlink. He learned loads, because what people don't realize about Rod Ferguson, because it was Microsoft game, Rod Ferguson was actually in the guy from Microsoft that would help. Well, what people don't realize is Rod Ferguson actually left Microsoft, took a big pay cut, and joined Epic Games because he really enjoyed it and to get it off the ground. But everyone goes Cliffy B. Cliffy B was a great inspiration on the Gears of War, and he was their figurehead because he was young, passionate. But in your book, you'll find that he learned the majority of his stuff off Rod because of all the experience he had. Because Rod's getting the game over the line because he got a bit bored. Gears 4, and then he always wanted to work with Diablo. And what happened there? He went to Activision Blizzard, and he got Diablo over the line. Not that they couldn't, but if you look up his career, he gets stuff out. I'm missing a game out there, VJ. I believe he went to a different studio before that and got another game out. Can't think of it off the top of my head. There's another game.
He went to
Scalebound.
No. He went to Ken Levine to help finish off Bioshock.
That's it. He went there as well. Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Bioshock Infinite. Yeah,
that was it. But yeah, I do love Gears, but I can't argue with you, Removable, on what you've said. Really,
what I would want to say just on that is, if you don't mind, and feel free to disagree, but whenever we talk about development and key people, and this guy was the key behind it, I would say this again. From my experience, there are many key cogs in a well-oiled running clock tower.
Yeah, definitely. And that was pointed out in the book as well.
Yeah, everybody makes a contribution. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, because even from a terrible idea, a terrible thought, and a horrendous concept, great ideas can blossom forth from those.
Oh yeah.
And don't always attribute to one person, especially the one that's facing the public and as a representative of the studio, because they've played a part, but if it wasn't for 99% of the rest of the team and the studio and the shareholders and the stakeholders and people that are able to capture the imagination, especially the ones that are unspoken of.
Well, I said that the writers for this for the series itself, if I was honest, if the story wasn't there, it would have been Gears would have been a great showpiece game, but that's about as far as it would have gone. With the writing, with the talent and the sound, the music, with the voice work, with that and the gameplay aspect too, it elevated it to a much more bigger franchise. So you know,
and just
as you said,
writing is one aspect of a game, but given the quality of competition that's out there, with bad writing, your game and its production and the look and the feel, the way it's received can quickly become pretty, how can I put it, anemic, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, what I am saying is that what I don't know is Cliff Bleszinski's, I hope I haven't mispronounced his surname, is the fact that what he came across to me is someone, and again, I haven't read the book, so please feel free to correct me, is that every game, doesn't matter how good it is or how good it turns out, must have a very strong vision holder, somebody who understands what is it that the game that they're making, the writing, the music, just needs to have an overview of everything. And it not necessarily means that they created it. It's just that they're keeping all the plates spinning and keeping it back and keeping the project balanced, right, in terms of what the final offering will be, right? They don't need to know every single aspect of it. And this is why, and I say this, vision holders or luminaries.
That's where Rod stepped in. So making Gears, and he kept asking questions like, "What's your vision?" and everything, and he didn't.
Yeah, but
they
I
didn't
wouldn't
know.
say he's the vision holder or the luminary behind the project, because he himself will have said he himself is someone that I've mentioned before.
He was his first. He's very young. It's one of his first games.
He's a high-end I don't know what you'd call it, executive producer, an executive producer that gets hands-on, that knows how to get the game out of the door, and that's exactly why Take-Two brought him on to help Ken Levine finish the game. I think it was BioShock Infinite. Otherwise, it would have been fundamentally delayed. What to get rid of, what to keep. The same thing. I don't know if you guys remember Fable, the first Fable. People normally attribute it to Peter Molyneux, but he didn't create Fable. Yeah, the Carter brothers designed and created. Dean and Simon Carter created the world building, the design, pretty much everything. And Peter Molyneux pretty much came in and did the job that Rod Ferguson did in terms of, okay, we don't need this, cut this away, add this, and this is the product that we're going to ship here. That's why he was brought in to make that game. He wasn't the creative vision holder behind it. What he came in, he creatively finished and put that package together to get it out of the door. And that's what Rod Ferguson fundamentally does. But they're just very good at their job. They're able to see all the pieces and saying, you know what, this is excess. If you put this out, your game will do well, if not great. And that's what they're very good. And it's a very different skill set from being an artist, a musician, a writer, a sculptor, a modeler, a texture artist, a technical animator, or a rigger, or whatever, right? Whatever you want to call it. If that makes sense to some degree.
Yeah, it does make sense. It does.
It's sharp now.
No, it makes a lot of sense. That does.
But no, I think it's.
Can someone tell Indy to hurry up and give a Silk Song the green light to be released? Because I'm sure he's holding it up.
Yeah, I reckon this next podcast.
Exactly.
And that's it. They're going to worldwide.
I heard rumors they won't sign it off until he does that interview with them. Yeah. That's until the interview's done, they're not saying it's not coming out.
You wouldn't forgive me if I didn't mention.
He's appeared. He's channel.
I always have to mention
it. Game was holding the release up.
But the KK, so we've gone through what we've played. What games are we looking forward to? Dun, 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 dun. Stubs.
I don't know, to be honest.
Oh my god!
I haven't heard of that game. Who's it by?
This Fallen Atlas looks good. This good that you messaged me about earlier. Fallen Atlas looks good. It does.
It has. I must admit, it's a unique,
I'll see if I can get
take to it. It kind of reminds me of Darksiders, but more action orientated. And being that it's the team that did The Purge, I must admit it's a completely different genre from what they've done previously. They were known for Dark Souls sort type games with The Purge and The Purge 2. So to kind of go into this almost semi-open world action, RPG adventure. I was just. It's one of those things. It's like Lords of the Fallen. I don't see many people talking about it, but it does look pretty good. Now, whether it's substance over style and gameplay is another matter. But as you can see on the screen here, it's intriguing. It definitely is intriguing. What about you? What about you, Stubbs? Is that something you could probably?
It does look good, but I first, because it's got a, how to say it, the characters, a lot of it's got a Destiny vibe as well. It has, with all the powers and all the suits.
I think
it's got on now.
Yeah, but that Destiny had a very what I classify as Diablo vibe.
Yeah,
everything is kind of, to me this is a Destiny stroke Diablo kind of mashup in terms of it.
To be honest, it does look good. It does. It wasn't really. I don't look at that many games. What was coming out? It's my own fault. I don't keep track of what's coming out.
You're telling me you don't keep an eye on Indie's channel to work out what new releases are coming out? That's what you're saying, isn't it? Let's just be honest there.
My memory's terrible, but
do you see how he quickly got out of that one, Indy? He quickly was, "Oh yeah, memory's terrible."
but probably is. If I compile, I'll probably compile a list for next time. Have a look what games are actually coming out, because I don't do that very often.
Well, I mean, you could just dip over to Indie's channel, surely. That'll tell you a pretty good amount of indie games that are coming out.
Oh, I've totally forgot about them. There's loads of them, isn't there?
Yeah. He does all that bloody hard work, and there you go. You can't even be bothered to. Typical. Yeah, and a PC person as you are, you should be
actually
humble bundling it.
Also, some games here actually. Harold Halibut. That looks good. There's Hellskate. That looks pretty cool. Like a skateboarding game, but like a hell.
Yep.
It's a metro. No, mate. Hang on. I'm just clicking on it. I think it's a roguelike. Hang on. It doesn't say in there. I'm sure it is. I did like look at that. To be fair, because I just bought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 on the Xbox as well. But this definitely is a fun take on it. This Hellskate. It looks really. I might see if I can get it on the screen. But it looks fun. It does. It does. Hellskate. Have any of you guys seen Hellskate?
Yep. Yeah, I follow the developer on Twitch or X as it's now called.
Get it on there then. There we go.
I'm hoping that if it does really well on Steam, it'll maybe get ported to console. Fingers crossed.
It might. I don't know. Right, there we go. Here you go. Looks pretty good. Oh, look at it. I do. It's a different take on a skateboarding game, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is. I mean, hopefully, yeah. If it does well, it'll make it over to console eventually. I don't know what the plans are for the release, but I imagine it's Steam first.
Oh yeah, it'll be based on how well it does. Yeah. On Steam, it'll be based on how well it does and how well the actual. It is. They may not even want to go to console, but it will. It'd be interesting. It's an interesting element to it, I must admit.
Yeah,
but you're telling me that
it will be first on Steam, then it goes to 1.0. It will possibly go to console. That was what Indie's saying.
Yeah, I hope it does. I really does. I hope it does. I really would like to see more indie games pushed into console generally. We could kind of. I know both PlayStation and Xbox are trying to increase their indie titles, but I still think they're a bit lacking. To be fair,
they are. Well, because Steam is the indie Indie Machine. That's thousands of them.
Mm.
Yes, but there's a Plucky Squire. Have you seen that with the opening book? Have you seen the Plucky Squire? You must have seen the Plucky Squire. No, you don't see it. Looks
It
fun.
sounds familiar.
I'll
The
show
trouble
you.
is, a bit like indie. I listen and follow so many. It's hard to remind myself of what I am actually following.
I just found it. Hang on a minute. That's the start. There you go. This one. This looks really good. It's a fun tank.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
It looks quite good. This does.
Mm.
Just take your peek, VJ.
What's that?
This game, Plucky Squire. Can you see it on the screen?
I've seen it a few times. It's not. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely.
Look, you just jumped out the book. It's so cool.
Yeah, no. I think that the
I know this one is coming to console.
Yeah,
this is the PlayStation trailer. This one is, but yeah, it's very unique.
I'm not sure. Basically, the same way I'm not sure about Sea of Stars, but it's coming to Game Pass, so I will, and to PlayStation. Try it. So, but for me, it was just something Removable reminded me is that while I've been playing on the Nintendo Switch, I've been looking at some of the games that I've missed from the past, more so than the games that are coming along in the future. So especially Xenoblade Saga 3, which has still got some fantastic reviews and fantastic user scores. But Octopath Traveler 2 is now like $40 on Switch, on PS5, and then going forward, I mean, you can't obviously not talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, it's not that long until Starfield comes out. I privately told both of you what I've heard about it. But I won't repeat it on the show. But then, as you say, Removable, or you allude to, that knowledge gives you experience, and experience fortifies your knowledge, and the cycle continues. And that's always limited as always. So, putting aside and caveating all these games we're talking about in regards to fidelity, frame rate, animations, AI, physics, and all that other nonsense, I think Starfield and Spider-Man are the tentpole titles out there that are coming this year that I'm interested in. Some of the games that I've missed earlier this year, such as Octopath Traveler, and is probably high on my list, and Xenoblade Saga 3. And I think that some of these indie games that we're always talking about, Harold Halliburtt, Silk Song,
this one,
Lucky Squire. But there's another one inside, The Devil Inside, is it? Sony. So, and I think when you've got, and this is putting aside all the DLC for MechWarrior or Elden Ring, but when you look at it like that, there's just, I'm booked. There's nothing else I can physically fit in, because you know how I approach a game. If I like it, I kind of really want to understand it and play it. I mean, Zelda you can finish in 50, 60 hours. MechWarrior you can play for 50, 60 hours in probably a bit longer. But I end up wanting to stay in those universes for weeks, days, months. And that's just the way I am. And there's nothing I can change about it, because I don't want to put Zelda down. But I'm coming to the end, because there will be no more content for me to actually deal with going forward, and there's rumors or announcement or something that the new Switch is coming out in the second half of next year, probably summer next year, and already
there's a rumor every year, VJ, about the Switch.
Actually, this one's quite prevalent right across the. I don't know if it's from Nintendo themselves in some sort of press here. I don't know, but it seems a lot more. What's that word? Removable. A lot more plausible, shall we say?
Well, they're saying that some of the partners of Nintendo have got.
Oh yeah, dev kits have gone out. Yeah, that's right. So for me, it's a case of.
Do you think the Switch needs a new system?
This is what I would say, Removable. Can I put it like this? So Octopath Traveler 2, I know that I can play it with a slightly higher resolution and a 60 frames per second, which is not the be-all and end-all for me, because I've been playing a game for 3 months at 30 frames per second and V-Sync issues non-stop. So that's not an issue for me. Is that I'm hesitating because I'd like to play it in its best possible presentation and that would be the PS5, where the resolution is higher and the frame rate is higher. But the portability, because of my situation, this is why I was very interested in the new Sony streaming device, or whatever it's going to be, because of my personal situation. I'm thinking, if I could get this Nintendo Switch with the OLED screen, because I've seen it, I don't own that one, which is absolutely beautiful, and it was 1080p 60 and ran all the current games super smoothly, then I'd go and get the new device. Whether it needs it or not, I think that if you look at some of the top franchises that Nintendo has, and I know typically they only make one major outing, whether it's Animal Crossing, whether it's 3D Mario, whether it's, Zelda's bookended the whole of the Nintendo Switch generation. I think I talked about that before. If you look at Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, etc., and so on and so forth. What I think is the fact that the new system, given that the dev kits are out and the game may or may not hit launch at the end of next year, then it is really down to Nintendo selling their vision, not in terms of the hardware, but in terms of what will their games offer people, rather than performance, and visuals over and above those two, for people to upgrade their current systems. And that's an answer I can't give you, but I think that the onus is on Nintendo, if that makes sense. Do
you think they need to?
The Nintendo Switch, I would say, is probably on the level. If they make another one, it's probably up to the PS4 graphics now. Bump it up
I'm talking from a creative point of view. I think that okay, if they launched they launched Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, right, as well as the Nintendo Switch, right? And you can clearly see that the game isn't for the Nintendo Wii U. It's quite poor. It was only going to work on the Nintendo Switch, so everybody migrated across the Nintendo Switch, obviously on the back of a poor performing system for Nintendo. Everyone migrated across to Nintendo, and even in the early months, more copies of the game had sold because it captured people's imaginations than hardware was available. And what I'm saying to you is not a case of, do I need a system? If the system came out today and there was nothing on that system that I needed to play, that I can't already enjoy to the nth degree on the current generation, the current Switch, then the answer is no. So it's up to Nintendo to devise content that would capture me enough to say, okay, I want to part with $200-300 and get this new system because they have this killer app. So it's all going down to the content. So it's a generational in terms of system launches from any one platform holder, in terms of, do they need a new system? It's the same argument. Do you want a Nintendo PS5 Pro, which is probably a more pertinent question to ask people, and is dividing opinion. But for me, and I was saying to Stubbs, because he asked the question last week, and I said, look, when I played God of War, I had the PS4 original and I had a Pro by some miracle, and I distinctly felt a massive difference removable. But I was lucky enough to have access to a PS5 Pro and have one at the time, and I ended up playing Dragon Quest 11 and God of War on the Pro, and I tried it on the PS4 as well, and there was a distinct difference, enough of a difference for me to be able to enjoy that game how the creators intended. So
that's the thing. I think is stage. Is there enough of a difference as the systems now are getting to a point where maybe the only difference is slight visual enhancements with a faster loading time? That's when I think we'll see hardware slow down sales. I think that's the thing that's going to kick it. We're getting to a point now where I'm not saying we're going to hit the epitome of visuals, graphics, fidelity, gameplay, but in terms of what systems can do, I think we're getting closer to a cap of where the differences are measurable, is what I'm saying.
I think fidelity, frame rate, animations, sound, I don't know how much of a limit there is. What I can tell you, removable, is that in terms of AI and physics, they have a massive overhead on the CPU, I believe. Maybe perhaps someone in the chat. So I think that there are a lot of things that you can do with more overhead available to you in the CPU, in terms of AI, in terms of physics, in terms of, you know, when you shoot someone and, you know, it leaves a scar on their shoulder, rips your clothing, and etc., and it doesn't reset, you know, at the next load screen, right? It stays as it is, right? And, you know, limbs coming off and so on and so forth. So what I say to you is that if the next sort of major release from Nintendo, you know, they've got some fantastic IP. If the next 3D Mario or whatever takes advantage of the system in the way that the previous system could not, and that'll depend if any of those games are cross-gen. Do you think there will be? I don't know.
I think nothing. I think the last, if it would make sense to me now, that actually they start phasing out last gen and move towards current gen.
And then the other thing is, I don't know about the UK now, but in the US, removable, where I live in Greater Los Angeles, is I come across a lot of people that are just commercialized or consumerized or brainwashed, if you want a lack of a better word, or to exist in their social economic environment where they have to have the latest phone, they have to have the latest TV, and those things are churned out on an annual basis. So if Nintendo are going to release a system 7.5 years after the previous system, or 8 years since the previous, no, it'd be 7.5 years after the previous system, I think everyone's not going to bat an eyelid in terms of upgrading if they can afford to do so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I think at this stage, the trouble is, I think at this stage, does Nintendo feel the need to do so? Maybe. I don't know. I think at this stage they're still making so much money from what is already there is a good product. You know, unless of course, as you said, there's something major. I know it's like 4K resolution, 120 frames per second. With a battery life that will last more than 8 hours.
Yep. Battery life 1080. I can tell you now, removable. If I could get 1080p 60, I'd have picked one up by now. No problem.
Yeah. And I think I think now, if you in say with all handhelds, I think, to be honest with you, it's one of the things that stops me from getting a handheld in any format is battery life.
Yeah.
For me, is battery life.
Can I just say, I can't. Zelda for me, Tears of the Kingdom is unplayable in handheld mode. I have to play it in. It's just. I don't know if he was on the show when Luke was on, and I know Luke was in the chat, and I was saying that I picked up Tears of the Kingdom and I tried to play it, and because of the inverted buttons X and Y and A and B, I was struggling, and just generally the complexity of the controls took me a good 4, 5, 6 hours to get used to the whole controllers and the new mechanics in the game, and then trying to play that with the Joy-Cons attached to a screen was even more difficult. So, I ended up playing the whole game with a Pro controller on the screen. I'm not saying all games are like that. So there are vast improvements. Not vast. I think that probably people much better versed than me in terms of the ergonomics and the design of the Switch. People have said, look, Nintendo, and this is over a number of years, have said, look, there is a way to improve these Joy-Cons to make them more robust. In terms of how they feel, not so gimmicky, because sometimes for certain games, do you remember those Game & Watch D-pad and buttons? They used to feel like a little cheap Tamagotchi at times, but or vice versa. And if they can just increase the quality of those Joy-Cons, I think that will also lend to people saying, you know what, yeah, it's time to upgrade. So there are hardware, not just in terms of technology, but in terms of robustness, the screen quality, etc., and obviously software. So a combination of those things, I think, would lead to many of those 120 million units that have sold, a percentage of those definitely wanting to upgrade, the hardcore at least.
I think the hardcore, yes. I think at the stage, I just there's a little bit of a fluctuation where I always look at it from the new customer's perspective. So those who haven't bought a Nintendo Switch right now, like myself, I haven't bought a Nintendo Switch.
Is there content on there that you would like to experience?
There is content on there I'd like to experience. I just can't afford it. I just don't have the funds to do so. What would happen though is if the new system came through, the old system would drop, which means then I potentially may be able to invest in an old system and experience those titles. So I think it whilst there may not be, well, as you said, maybe the hardcore will probably pick up a lot of the new hardware. I still think if they do a price drop, and a pretty good price drop, there'll still the original tire system will still be selling out for quite a few years to come.
Yeah.
I think that's so.
So I think you might have hit a nail on the head there, Removable. So what I would look at, and I don't know the games they're designing, so that is a major question that needs to be answered. But if they're making cross-gen content, okay, and they reduce the price of the hardware and make the current hardware more accessible in terms of price point, and you can still play the current software, yes, there potentially may be a market. Now, obviously, PlayStation 4 sold, for another year or so, they sold another 1 million units. So in terms of comparing it to Sony and Microsoft, you can say, well, hang on a minute. Historically, newer hardware means steep decline in older hardware, generational hardware.
Mm-hmm.
That may not be the case for Nintendo.
Nintendo's different, yeah.
When the Switch came out, Nintendo DS or whatever it was at the time was still selling incredible amounts of units. And it was until Nintendo said, look, we are no longer making DS software. All of our teams are going to be focused on making content for one system. That's the Nintendo Switch. So you can play it in handheld mode and on the big TV. That was a really smart strategic decision. And that's when the sales dropped off. So I think you've got a point there. And it's how they play that and how they play those cards that will determine,
they say right now we are no longer supporting the Nintendo Switch. We're going to this Nintendo Switch Pro X2. Then yes, I think that'll be the case. But I don't think they will take that risk with that chance. I think at this stage,
you're back to using the lowest common denominator, then upgrading it for the latest system. Well, perhaps not taking full advantage of the new system to get the hardcore to transition across, because that has to be your key market.
I think it's very similar in the way to. I think it'll be a bit like Xbox. They'll have the Switch will be the Series S, and then the Switch Pro X, whatever it will be, the Series X, and as you said, the hardcore will translate over that.
Sorry, I thought they might just call it Switch Up.
Switch Up, yeah.
I think they don't think they'll. I think all the brand new exclusive games will be only playable on the new system. They don't have the. They don't have Xbox's mentality, because people, if you Nintendo's gamers will, if the game is like you say, are quality, what people want, people will buy the new Switches for them games.
What I read, and I don't know if this is true, is that you're right that the fact that their next 3D Mario may be exclusive to the Nintendo Switch Up or Switch Pro, but what I've read, and I don't know if it's true, is that although those new games may not be backwards compatible, but the old content will be forwards compatible, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
Which will be good, right?
But that's a different mindset for Nintendo. That means
I think it just speaks to Removable's point from a commercial perspective in terms of
you're not limiting it to.
Yeah. And
you are also, I suppose, in a way, for me, it then makes the Nintendo Switch your gateway.
It does sound like as well they're not scrapping the physical media, because I did read the leak and it still has a cartridge-based system.
Yeah. But I think it leads to Removable, because you have to look that the world is a very different place in 2024 than in 2016. In the same way that Spencer came out and said, blah blah blah, these people have built up their digital libraries. You have to understand is that 70% was it of Zelda's the new 10 of the 10 million was sold digitally. So if suddenly you've got to hold on to an old system because you're worried about transitioning to a new system and you can't take your digital content with you, then I think it's going to leave a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. So I think the old system has to be compatible going forward, right? Does that I think that would be
backward compatibility, effectively, isn't it?
Yeah, it does make sense.
And it means game preservation. So it will, as I kind of look at it, it means that it's also a game.
It's not committing commercial suicide.
Exactly, yeah. And also it's a gateway drug for those who don't have the funds yet. And I use the word yet because you can go straight into the Nintendo Switch, play with that for a couple of years till you get up the funds and go, do you know what, I want to transition over to the much more powerful console because I enjoy the system so much.
And talking of gateway drugs, it will be euphoric in nature in terms of knowing that, hang on a minute, all my digital library are going to be able to transition that across to new Switch Pro will be a massive selling point for Nintendo. And people no doubt will say, oh, Nintendo finally woken up, they've come of age. And well, yes, but it's just the way that the world works now, and what consumers have come to expect.
I don't get you wrong. I still think there's collectors out there, especially for the physical media. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why Nintendo have managed to keep so many people. I mean, you see people absolutely euphoric displaying the cases and the games. The physical media aspect side of it, you don't see that much with the other systems, Sony and PlayStation, but you do see that with the Nintendo sort of fan base, and it harkens back to an olden day where you were proud to showcase off your game library on your wall, the physical media side of things, and I think it's the niche that has helped sustain Nintendo's market, and just to throw that away, I don't think they're willing to do that right at this stage.
No, and I think they're well versed and how to retain, the biggest audience that they've ever had for a system since the Game Boy. I would want to say.
I'd say I think the Game Boy. Yeah, I think yeah.
Oh, it's definitely not going to be the Virtual Boy, is it?
Oh God, no. DS. I think the DS did really well though, didn't it?
DS did.
I've got
a 3DS.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I think it did 70 or 80 million units, something like that. It's just the Game Boy and the tie ratio was phenomenal for Nintendo. So.
Oh, it cemented
Game Boy too.
Oh yeah, it cemented. It cemented them in the industry. I think that was It just turned heads. Isn't it? I think it's a shame really Sega didn't get into that, because they had the Sega Game Gear, and it's just a shame that didn't kick off as well as as the Game Boy.
Nintendo have got some very bright and brilliant people working there. They and Capcom are very publicly visible in terms of how they go about recruiting, how they plan for succession post Miyamoto, post Mikami, etc., and so on and so forth. They pretty much all of the development teams are under one massive roof in Kyoto. That's why I sent you that video about Kyoto removable, just to give you a taste, not just of.
I watched that.
It wasn't just about Kyoto, but it was also about that's where Nintendo is based. So the town, the city may not be as colourful as you like, but their games certainly make up for it. So
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how they managed to get the Joy-Cons out there on public view and sale, given the parameters that the local authorities, get people to adhere to. But if you haven't watched the video, you wouldn't know what the in joke is. So I apologise. But you do get it though, right? You too. So
yeah. So. I think the question is we've gone to the point of what games we're playing. We've gone to the point of what games we're looking forward to. I think we can transition finally to the games of what is the ones we would like to basically be brought back, remastered, remakes.
You go first. Something in mind.
Definitely for me would be, there's two on my mind that actually three, and the third one came in just through Twitter actually. I would like to see obviously Dino Crisis. I'd like to see that franchise brought back, modernized. Definitely, it's a fantastic franchise. I'd also like to see Soul Reaver, the Legacy of Kain series. Them kind of brought back. They had a superb storytelling and voice work.
Is that Eidos?
Yes, I think it was. I think it is. Yes, just the level of gameplay and storytelling was tremendous.
So who owns that now? Is that Square Enix who owns that?
I don't know. To be honest,
Or did they sell that off with Tomb Raider? Because it was obviously under the IDOS banner.
do you know what? I don't know. I don't. Whoever,
Sorry, it's got me thinking. Sorry. Please
yeah,
continue.
no, I don't know. Someone in the chat, if you can tell us, point us out, that'd be much appreciated. And then finally, the last one, and this is going to be. This may turn a few heads. Manhunt. I'd like to see a remaster and remake of Manhunt. And the reason I say Manhunt, it was because it was one of the very first truly adult only games with a very unique gameplay style. Obviously its brutality was its selling point, but what few people kind of appreciate was the intricate gameplay mechanics within it, where sound was the pinnacle motivator for you to move around that game's world. The use of sound to do these brutal things. I think those three I'd like to kind of see how they can be brought into the modern era. I think that's my 3 picks. I don't know about yourselves, but that gives you some thought, possibly.
I wanted to ask you about the Dino Crisis game because I haven't played them, so I don't know how many there are in the series. But and correct me if I'm
3,
wrong,
I think.
The folk tale that I had heard that the games are quite short.
Ooh. Well, I can tell you from the first one, they were looking around the 8 to 10 hour mark, but they were very much like the Resident Evils of the time, where you could go in, and there's almost like a game plus to them. So there was like a kind of secret little tweaks that you would find if you went through a second time or a third time.
So in your okay, if the games were to be remade, let's just say, would you want them remade as a package of 3 and re-released at $70, or would they be individual releases at say $40 or $50 or $60?
Good question. The spoilt child in me would obviously like them all under one package for 70 quid.
I was going to say £1.
Yeah, or $70. Gimme for the cheapest price possible. My gut feeling is, personally, though, I would probably I'd probably see them going down the route as what they've done with the Resident Evil series remasters, where each one will be its own individual.
They're quite
price.
Cheap now. They're all cheap.
Yeah, and to be fair, they still did phenomenally well. Absolutely did phenomenally well, and that's why I think there's a market for, especially the Dino Crisis, because it's a franchise which could really tie into. It's effectively a new franchise.
I mean, I haven't played it, but it's obviously better than Gears from the sounds of it.
Oh yeah, even Stubbs would agree with that.
Is it fall asleep?
No. Do not agree.
You should change your avatar from Stubbs Gaming to Gears Gaming. What do you think, Removable?
Possibly,
no,
but you never know.
I'm not good enough for that.
Once Timber has mentioned in the actual chat, he said, "So fun fact: Manhunt was going to be way more brutal than it is now. The original unedited copies went for the store shelves, but got recalled right before they're sold." Yeah, this is true. There was a much more brutality to it, which they kind of chopped out, and they tried to. I think, if I remember, they put into the second one some of the actual brutality of it. But I will say, playing it, it didn't take any of its charm away. Especially the sound thing, especially the fact that you would use sound to draw in the prey that you was attacking. It was a very brutal dystopian sort of game, but it was one of those games that it was clearly made for an adult-only audience. And at the time, most games weren't really made for adults. They were like, yeah, okay, it's a bit brutal, but teenagers can still play it. This was clearly a adult-only, game in terms of its story, its ramifications, its brutality. It was clearly built for an audience in mind, and it wasn't for teenagers or children. And if you haven't played it, I would recommend playing it even now. Obviously, PC is the best way to go for it because you'll get the best settings for it. It is a beautifully brutal, but the story itself is also equally enthralling. Again, back to Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis, again, it's a series that just so many people would like to bring back, and I'm surprised they haven't done so.
I haven't played it, but I'm sold.
It's I think, to be honest with you, I mean, even if you just watch a few videos, I think it'll intrigue you. I should think the same thing. And as for Soul Reaver, and
you know me. I know even when you recommended the last couple of games I played, even what was it, Mech Warrior? You said watch a few videos. I kind of started and I thought no, and I just jumped in, and I just prefer it that way.
But I think you must have played Soul Reaver and the Legacy of Kain.
I think so. I know that I played the Tomb Raider games, and I don't know if it was a time I was playing Japanese RPGs, but I don't know if you remember, but it sounded to me as that Soul Reaver was out at the time when Super Famicom or Super Nintendo was still doing really well. PlayStation had just come onto the scene. And because it was a Western developed game, I was probably a little bit biased in my opinion and just stuck to playing games developed in Japan, because obviously I think it was out at the time when Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, all that stuff was out. So and I wasn't a massive fan of Eidos's other output besides Tomb Raider. So I probably
it's one of the games for me that
I think I have tried it though. Yeah,
the story was superbly well put. It really, the story keeps you on your toes throughout the whole of the series, and the voice actors they're like Shakespearean voice actors, done exceptionally well, that really sell the story. And I was just like, do you know what? It's another series I think could easily be remastered and brought back, and a new series of people playing it.
Or remake?
I am now becoming biased when it comes to remasters. If it's not done by Night Dive Studios, I don't think I'd allow anyone else to do a remaster. I would say a remake.
But surely that team that made the games originally are gone.
Can we do two things?
Yeah, but I think if you've got the base code and you've got a bit like they've done the same thing for like Resident Evil, the original teams have moved on. Yeah. They still managed to provide a fantastic remake of it. Yes, they tweaked a few things here which some people weren't perfectly happy for, but majority of it was actually still well done. I don't see why they can't continue that ethos. As long as they've got the ethos, they say true to the original format, they're true to the original intent of the game, and don't tweak things for the sake of tweaking things, because that's why I think people would get really frustrated. If it's like, oh, I'm tweaking it to, I'm cutting stuff out because it's the audience is a bit more sensitive these days than it was back then. No, that's going to wind a lot of people up. I think you need to keep true to the core ethos of the game. And that's why I like Night Dive. Is it Night Dive? Dive Studios.
Here's the game you love, but here's the diet version of the game you loved.
And it just really annoys people because it's like they can see. And this is one of the reasons that annoys me with Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
I knew that was coming up.
Here it comes.
You do not cut stuff from a game. I don't care what it is. Don't cut it and sell it as a Legendary Edition. Either it's all or nothing. I don't want the Diet Coke version of Mass Effect Legendary.
Here's the Legendary version, and the subheading is no, not really. It's the anemic version.
I mean, missing DLC and missing a multiplayer is just like, look, come on. Yeah. It's like saying, oh yeah, I'm going to do Gears, the complete edition. Multiplayer? Nah, can't be bothered with that, mate. Sorry.
I just want to clarify. Soul Reaver, that's the same as Legacy of Kain, or slightly different?
it's in the same. So Legacy of Kain, he has his own sort of story, and near the end of, well, I gotta be careful how I say this, I don't want to kind of ruin it, but Soul Reaver is a shoot off for the Legacy of Kain series, which involves Kain himself, and also it goes into the future a little bit with him as well. So it's part. This is why I was saying it was so good. It was Legacy of Kain himself was about Kain, how he became into power, how he moved around, how he became vampire, how he moved forward, and then they brought in another protagonist to almost equal him in the Soul Reaver series. And that did so well. They continued it with a franchise, and then they capped it off with an ending. I'm not going to tell you the ending, but it's still so the protagonist became effectively the bad guy in the new protagonist's story, because you'd have seen it from this person's perspective, and obviously what he'd been done, and then it was a unique way of continuing the franchise forward that hasn't been done. I don't think it had been done before at the time. So, and obviously then it had its unique gameplay mechanics as well, which was also fantastic in its own right at the time. Where it's probably back then it had been done, but one of the core gameplay mechanics was that you could traverse into effectively what was classified as the soul world. Yeah. So you'd go into the human world, you'd walk around, but at any point you could traverse into the soul world and solve puzzles there, and backwards and forwards, flip backwards and forwards.
Removal, do you think is it a little bit like the transition, or perhaps they've taken inspiration from it in terms of how Lords of the Fallen is working?
I would say Lords of the Fallen has definitely taken the Soul Reaver transitioning. So when you see Lords of the Fallen, where he looks into the other plane, peers into the plane, yeah, exactly that. But with the Soul Reaver, you could literally flick between two different planes at two different times. And what was different about the Soul Reaver is that you see the original plane warp and distort in real time to the new plane.
What was that game on that came out on the Nintendo, on the Xbox Series X, pretty close to launch, with the lady? She was transitioning by Blueprint, might have been transitioning between two worlds.
It was in some cases two worlds at the same time, wasn't it?
Not at the same time. It was like certain areas you go to.
It's Bloober Team. What was it called? Horror game.
Yeah, there was a split screen, wasn't it, where she was like walking along a cliff edge, and then on the other side,
and then she was in the
where's the chat when you need them?
Where is it? In
Medium. There you go. Thank you, Masuko. Thank you, Masuko. You win a prize. And Slapper mentions Raziel. Wasn't Raziel one of the 12 watchers?
Raziel is the main protagonist in Soul Reaver. He is the one of the 6 brothers upon which Kain turned into his lieutenants.
Oh, no, sorry. I think it might have been from one of the biblical.
He was also, Raziel is also the keeper of knowledge.
Yeah,
in
one of
biblical
the
terms.
that fell from heaven.
Mm-hmm. Raziel is actually the keeper of. He's actually the keeper of the Book of Knowledge.
Oh no, sorry, not in the lore in terms of the game, but in terms of a biblical Enochian biblical text, that I think Raziel was one of the 12 watchers that had fallen to earth. Or actually,
if you're talking Christianity, Raziel he's the
Enochian. Yeah.
I thought Raziel. I'm pretty sure he was the keeper of the Book of Knowledge, wasn't he? He was one of the angels that kept the Book of Knowledge.
Maybe in the Christian, but I'm not sure if that's his role in the Enochian sense.
Possibly in the Enochian sense, I think. I haven't checked that. No.
I thought he was one of the 12 watchers, and the 12 watchers were the ones that Lucifer had somehow manipulated to commit crimes against. Well, not crimes, but basically.
Turned them.
Their allegiance to rule Earth on their own terms and circumvent heaven's power in retrospect.
Possibly. My knowledge of
Doesn't matter.
Christianity is.
It may just be the Book of VJ. Who knows?
It's one of those things. I was brought. I did Christian school very early on, and I used to know a lot of text by off. God no. I used to know that off. I absolutely hated Christian school. Yeah, at church schools.
Talking of church, what are the games that you want remade, Stubbs? And don't say, "Oh, I don't really know." And
Gears 4.
You've had half an hour to think about it now, because Removal's been on one, so you can see he's missed the show, being on holiday and leaving us to hold down the platform. But anyway, carry on.
Sega's Virtual Fighter.
Oh, interesting.
I did not expect that one. I could have expected Sega Rally from you, Mr. Stubbs, but not Sega.
Sega have brought back, well, they've done well with Yakuza, an offshoot of Yakuza Judgment. They need to bring back take a risk and bring back Virtual Fighter. Or, yes, they could make a modern day Sega Rally. They could do. I know UK Daz might like to have a go.
He would be there before they'd even blooming put before even open was published. He'd be there trying to buy it.
But they're a confident company now, growing, doing well. They need to take some stock in some of their older IPs that made the Dreamcast and Assassin great. They could really do them. I think can't see them happening though, but. Yeah, someone is making the indie Sega Rally, but it's not. Sega are good, but if that guy tries to monetize it, the minute
ain't gonna happen.
Minute he tries to monetize that game, Sega Legal will be all over him. So Sega are fine until you actually try and make money out of it. They'll shut that game down so fast if he tries to make money out of it.
If it was me, it would be a modernized with better mechanics. I don't know if they could do it though, but Jet Set Radio, but not Jet Set Radio, but maybe a sequel to Jet Set Radio. But Jet Set Radio, in terms of how you could traverse across Shinjuku, Shibuya, and Roppongi, and all those areas, but with modern day visuals. It would just that would be for me. I can't remember Jet Set Radio Future quite having the same snazziness or snappiness to it as the original. But yeah, I think if it was one game from Sega, that's the one I'd opt for.
That's again, so another unusual system. I kind of thought my ones were pretty much mainstream, but yeah, cleverly those two I have no idea about.
Sorry, Move. I have no bloody idea what Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is. Is that a game or is that some sort of music term?
Look it up. You'll be happy. All right, and let's have a look. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Let's have a look.
I am slightly disappointed knowing that the age of indie that he didn't say Paperboy.
Paperboy.
Right. Hang on. I can see why Indie Gamers has suggested that to you.
Because he's had repressed memory therapy to just block out all the times of you delivering the 12 Daily Heralds and a spick and span to the weirdo down Marley Road.
So this is why Indie Gamers recommended it to you.
Not just one paper round, 4 paper rounds. Oh, let's have a look at this. Oh my goodness. This is very much a Jet Set Radio.
It is definitely
rip-off. Is it me or is that it's not streaming quite correctly?
It is a little bit choppy, but I think it's because of Stubbs' internet.
Right.
It looks good, though.
It looks good. A bit of a knockoff, but it looks good.
Does that mean you're going to buy it?
So I got to put it through StreamYard, you see. Dropped it down to 720p.
I'll have to look at it offline and have a look.
Yeah, it looks a little bit smoother. Yeah, I could definitely see that going. Yeah, I could definitely see that being something that VJ would like.
I think it will definitely pang people's twang, shall we say?
See, even Indy says he loved Paperboy. Fantastic.
Paperboy was really good on the Commodore 64.
That game was pure gravy.
That game was pure pain in the bloody arse after a certain level, I tell you.
Yeah, I probably didn't get that far, but I did enjoy it.
I was trying to think of another one that was. I was trying to think of another old game that was. You played as a wizard, and it was an isometric. It was quite brutal, and you cut as you go through a dungeon. You you could cut trolls and stuff like that in half. I can't think what it's called. Oh God. It was definitely on the Genesis. I know it was.
Come on! You're from England. We say Sega Mega Drive.
Well, if I say Mega Drive, some people it would be, what the hell is that?
Well, everyone in chat is English, basically.
Oh, okay. To those listening,
people live after the fact, don't they?
No,
Genesis.
It was a game. It was an isometric. You had a wizard
and Masuku.
Oh, you're not talking about Gauntlet.
I think they called it Mega Drive, didn't they?
No, not Gauntlet. Gauntlet was a great game. This was a isometric almost like isometric third person, and you would go through a dungeon as a wizard. I'm trying to think of it as, and you cut people in half. I know it was. I'm trying to think of what bloody thing it's called.
Oh my goodness! Now you're taking me back to the beheadings in Barbarian.
Beheadings in Barbarian.
Don't you remember Barbarian?
Yeah, no, that was the time of when it was. It was that. That's the time.
Oh, wait, and what was it? Xenon Saga was another favourite of mine. By the Bitmap Brothers.
Oh God, yeah, that was.
I love the music and anyway, sorry.
Oh God, it's going to really, really frustrate me now. It was. I think it had like a one-word name for it as well. Oh God. That's going to frustrate me the hell out now. It'll come right at the very last moment or something with my luck.
Oh, that's okay.
Go on.
Good to hear they called it Mega Drive in Masuku's country as well. Finland.
I think it was called The Immortal.
Immortal? Isn't that a new game?
Yes. No. Mega Drive, The Immortal. Done by Electronic Arts.
Never played it. Oh, I do remember the cover though. Yep. That was the time of when what's it called? Was that right when PGA Golf and NHL hockey and Desert Strike and Road Rash, all that were around about that time, right?
Something along those lines, yeah. And it was one of the reasons I get it was one of those things. It's brutality. It literally you could cut people's heads off and turn people into stone. And you played as wizards. You just walk around and it was quite fun. If I remember.
That just sounds like a normal day for Stubbs. Any other games, Mr. Stubbs?
No, I didn't think.
Stubbs didn't play games until Gears.
Oh no.
Sonic.
Actually, speaking of Sonic, the new one does look really good.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
Oh God, no! What's it called?
Sonic Adventures, is it? No, not Sonic Adventures.
It is literally the latest one, and they've kind of kept the new the style of the original.
Stars, was it Origins?
Oh God, no! I'll try and search for it. It is literally, but it looks like as if they've taken Sonic 1 and just put it in like a modern day engine, and it's not one of the 3D games, where they're like running around a 3D world. It's literally. It's back to how Sonic was as a side-scrolling platformer with a little bit of oh God, Sonic
Desert Strike, stick figure. Yeah, Desert Strike was quite incredible. So was Jungle Strike. I enjoyed that too. It was definitely a clear departure from games like Choplifter. Oh God, I have spent hours with Choplifter. But anyway, I'll probably I
Is
think
it
another
Sonic
game.
Origins? I don't know.
So I think it's Sonic
Was it-
Sonic
was it
Superstars.
this?
It was on the last Nintendo show.
That's it. This is it. What's this one?
Sonic Superstars.
They're showing you different. Oh yeah.
This
This is a definite game for Boldman Gamer, BMG.
100%. 100%.
If you're
Yeah.
listening, this is for you, BMG, on Apple Podcasts.
This just looks brilliant.
Yeah,
this
it
just
It
this
does
reminds
actually.
me. It looks and feels like the original Sonic, but in a modern, fresh
Yep.
take.
Yes,
I thought-
that is
I thought-
true indeed. There is a game called The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. That is real. That is on Steam. I have it. It was free. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, that is one BMG will enjoy.
But this, when I saw this at the Nintendo show, this transition from the original to this, and and echoing what Removal Sanity just said, had a bigger impact on me than Nintendo's Super Mario Wonders or whatever it's called, and that game's transition to a very modern look. I thought this looked way better.
This hits really nice. This looks really good.
This is probably one of the games I will purchase because my son loves Sonic Superstars. Thank you so much. This I've been trying to think of what it was for ages, and it's got the original ethos just baked into it perfectly.
It shows
well.
you here transitions, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's showing you what it's
And I think you can actually. I don't know if there's something you can actually flick between. I think correctly or something like that. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know.
But
Yeah.
But I do
it's-
wonder with Sega how much it's actually going to be. They're a bit stingy on these prices. They're a bit. Depends. It could be a 70 quid game.
No, I don't think.
You don't
so.
think so? No.
Not 70. No. Well, I don't know the prices in England, but
it'd probably be 50 quid in England.
Yeah, that'd probably be right. I don't know.
what I mean, I like the look of Mario, the new Mario Wonders or whatever it's called, but this definitely had a bigger impact on me for sure.
It just for me, it was just it brings back the ethos of what Sonic was without, yeah.
Imagine if we were back in 1990 or 1991, right? And you saw the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog, which no one had ever seen, and then they said, by the way, in 20 years it will look like this. I mean, you would really literally just fall into a coma, wouldn't you? There.
It was. I said it was Sonic was my go. There was two things: you either played as Sonic or you're a Mario fan.
So
and for me,
on physical,
Sonic.
it's going to be $54.99.
Wow.
On physical.
That's
That's on Amazon.
See, now I still think I'd like to get physical because I do like physical. But I know that if I bought this, my son would go nuts for this as well because he's a Sonic fan.
There you go.
And so, yeah, I think I probably will get this just for like nostalgia purposes, but for me also, for my son as well. I think actually, is it Takeshi Izuki did this?
I thought it was Yuji Naka.
Don't know.
Who did the original Sonic?
Oh no, they did the original Sonic. I think if Sonic Superstars is done by Takeshi Izuki. Suzuki? I can't. I'm just going through, and it looks like he's the one. Yeah, I think he says here. It's featuring Takeshi Lazuke. I think is the one who did it on this one. Don't know, but it's. I'll be interesting.
You see here where they turn into sort of little octopuses. It reminds me a little of I don't know if you. I mean, it's a game I played hundreds of times and completed it. Was Metal Slug 3, one of my most favorite games ever. That game is just incredible. Like you could get into all different like planes and little submarines and all sorts. Right? It's just I don't know if anyone's ever played Metal Slug 3 or completed it, but yeah, phenomenal.
It looks like also it goes into a variety of different artistic styles as well in this game. because it looks like it's this one pit where as you said, they go pixel based into like what's it called, squids.
Yeah, octopuses.
Sorry, octopuses. Yeah, and I don't know. It just looks fun. It does.
Indy, I'm just on the website for Sonic Superstars, and it looks like it is made by. It says Sonic Team, so it must be Sega themselves making it.
Yeah.
Ah.
I couldn't see them outsourcing it. No way.
Well, Sonic, such like a franchise for them. You wouldn't have thought so, but you never know. But I'm glad it is.
It's too big. It's too big a franchise, and too much of there's too much financial gain in it for them to outsource it to anyone. It's too precious. It's like outsourcing Mario for them.
I just hope they.
Now that makes sense. Sonic Mania, yeah. Because wasn't that the game that they made on the phone, or was a fan project, and they released it? I think it was something. Sonic Mania was made by a fan or something, and then they released it, done a deal, and they released it. It was made by different Sonic Mania. Yeah, yes, I think you're right, Indy. It was made. I think that's the one where it was made by a different team, or it was made by a fan, or something like that. And
if it was mobile, it's a different set of skills to release a different set.
I'm sure it was on Sonic. I think it was on mobile too. Sonic Mania.
Yeah,
I can't remember, but yeah, Indy's right now. What game wasn't made by the Sonic team? That one.
I just hope they don't do stupid stuff which they've done sometimes, which is like, okay, we're going to do like DLC,
or Plus. They got loads of stick for that. VJ, it was stuff like, do you want extra animations in your start screens and stuff like that?
No,
it was all extras. It was silly,
and you had to pay for it. It's like an extra pay for DLC. There's like, do you know what?
They got the end of crap for that. It is.
It's just give us a game
wrong, then. I'm wrong. It was only on PC and console. I was wrong.
Let's just give us a game that looks like the ethos of Sonic, a full game. That's it. That's and that's why I can't understand how they can't just do that.
No, completely wrong. I'm looking on my phone now. It's not. It was just the PC and console. Take it back. Thanks for stopping in, the friendly pest. Hope you're okay. Stick figure, welcome to the chat. Thanks for popping in. But yeah, this one does look good. This one's on the radar.
Does it give us a deadline of when this is supposed to be?
Hang on, I was on the bloody website then. Hang on.
This is out this year.
Right.
Is
don't
it?
give an at.
Yeah. And this and Mario Wonders, they're both out this year.
Wow, that's going to be a head-to-head then, isn't it? Of two big franchises.
So it's coming in the fall of 2023. It doesn't actually say.
They were both displayed or introduced in the last Nintendo presentation. They were both unveiled there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to. This is a game for me. This is just it's a weird one, I know, but this is one of the ones that's actually decided to make me kind of be happy to be a Sonic fan again.
I'll tell you one thing is that if that Nintendo Switch comes out, the new one, it'll definitely have the Yakuza games come crossover to it.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's got to be powerful
they
to run those games.
They could run
PS4 and stuff.
They could run because the next Switch will probably be the power of a PS4, just under.
You know what, Removal? I never knew we had an insider in on our channel.
Who's that?
You.
Stubbs. You tip.
Indie Game wants to know if you two have ever heard of or played Sonic Mania.
I've heard of Sonic Mania.
It's always on sale. It is. But yeah, it was outsourced to a solo dev fan. So yeah,
Sonic CD was the last game I played.
I just got the mobile bit wrong. I did.
Sonic CD was good. I had Sonic CD.
BMG's probably turned the podcast off by now on demand. I'm sick of them talking about Sonic.
Speaking of actually,
listens on Apple Podcasts. He does.
Do you know what would be good? Eternal Champions. And remember Eternal Champions, or my favourite was Eternal Champions CD because it actually had more brutal death sequences. It tried to become Mortal Kombat back in the day, and it was also one of the very first games that had FMV death sequences. So you could use a fighting game, Eternal Champions, and you could do a FMV kill effectively. It's one of the very first games. It looked horrendous, but it was brilliantly done. I think it had over, I think it's like 100 different ways to kill individual characters. It also had hidden secret characters in it as well. Oh, in 1991. Da-da-da-da.
Crazy.
There you go. Here's Sonic Mania.
See, I see the prejudice in this going on here. He won't put on Mario, will he? He'll only stick to Sonic.
I'm a bit scared. Nintendo, they come after me. To be fair, I did put Zelda on.
No, not Zelda. I meant Mario Wonders.
But now here he goes. He's about to show you it.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Here's Sonic Mania.
Yeah, I reckon he probably would have got. Gary.
2D Sonic was very popular. You are correct.
Yeah, of course it was. It was phenomenal.
Still is. Still is. I can tell you now that if I would still play the original Sonics without a problem. Absolutely loved it. It was. I had the entire first Emerald. I think it's Emerald City map on my wall as a kid. Because I remember I used to get a magazine called Sega Force back in the day, and they would put stuff like this. They would put the very first, they put the entire level of
Sonic Mania was popular. It was it's always on sale though. You can only pick it up quite cheap. You can.
I'd get that for the little one, but mind you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was sorry, guys. I didn't realize the time. I've actually.
It's fine. It's no problem. It's my fault for messing times up.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on VJ. It was a great show tonight.
Yeah.
I will try not to mess it up next time.
No, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And no, it's a good show. I think. Well,
it's a catch up. We did loads of different things, didn't we?
We did. We did. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming on, VJ. I won't ask you where to find you because you never answered that question.
There you go. No. Just contact Rupal Sanity or yourself. They're my two agents.
Yeah. All right.
20% disclosure fee.
Have a good day.
Take care. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Might as well wrap it up there anyway. Thanks to Rupal Sanity for coming on. It's been a good show tonight when we finally got there.
If we didn't have problems when we first start, can you possibly say this show was true to its core ethos? We're always late. We go off on random topics at any given moment.
I'm happy now because now in the title I can put Sonic in there. BMG like I might not listen. So I might keep Sonic out of the title.
I'd keep it out, and then he'll get through. Was it like an hour and 40 minutes?
In the title we mentioned, apart from Sonic.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things. I think it's one of the things that we bring to this show is we bring randomness, and if you like randomness, you like conversations that can sometimes go completely off skew, topics completely go nowhere, or can go into very in-depth political, I wouldn't say political, ideological conversations. We'll try and do it at some point. And we talk about games as well.
Exactly. Yeah, we do. But yeah, it's good to have you back on. It was
much appreciated. Try and see if we can get Masuku or Indy on.
Indy, I've been trying, but he's a
busy guy. He's a busy guy.
Work schedule these days. I have been trying, people.
You
So,
can't keep up.
he-
You
he's in
can't be
demand.
a top indie creator, and spend time chatting on podcasts, mate.
No, I have tried, but I will keep trying. I will. We will get Indie Gamer one day. We will.
Do you know what? You'll need to try and get him the day Silksong releases.
No, because he'll be playing it. I'll be doing his own live stream or something. No, you won't. You won't see him. You won't see him
That's what.
appear
If
online for
we
ages.
book him in, but we book him in now, he can't get away with it.
You will.
We could
Just
say-
say, no,
we could-
songs come out. I can't.
But we could say he's like, he's got to play it on the podcast. We could do the very first ever indie podcast, showing of Silksong.
There's a lot of. I wouldn't put Indie under that pressure to play Silk Song live. They're a rabid fan base. They can be.
He'd want to enjoy it in his own time, I'm sure.
Yeah, he will. That's exactly why. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure in the.
That's the thing, though.
Like that online.
We may lose him for a couple of months.
That's what I'm saying. There will be
silent,
an emergency podcast put out there. He'd be like, "They have to go live." But yeah, I won't put you under that much pressure. That was a lot of pressure. That would be playing it live on the YouTube channel because.
it's just one of those things. Some people play live without no commentary. Don't they?
Oh, fair play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, some people just. I'm sure. I think I've seen it sometimes where Indy does sometimes do streaming, and sometimes he talks. And I think, if I remember quickly, sometimes you don't do streamings without commentary, do you?
I've never heard him without commentary yet
Sure.
on live streams.
Oh, was it? I'm sure. Just for Silksong.
Just for Silksong.
Yeah. Just sit there with a nice beer and stream away.
People in chat.
Yep. Just chilling away with it, mate. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming on, Removable Sanity. Glad you're back.
Much appreciated. Will you come back again? Yeah.
Do you want to tell people where?
Oh yeah, I forget. This is where my brain is. I'm still on holiday mode. Apologies for those who are absolutely bored of hearing me talk. You can find me on Minds, YouTube, Xbox, and Twitter, which is now X, whatever for some bloody reason, under the name Removal Sanity. Thanks
for coming on, and thanks to everyone in chat: Indie Gamer, Pixel, Slapper, Masuku.
VJ.
VJ, thanks for coming on.
Freddy Pest.
Stick figure appeared. Just Fimber. Trying to go back up. Sergeant Sentinel. And anyone else who I've missed. I just can't think who else there was. And anyone who listens on demand after or on Apple Podcasts, because the last show for some reason got 42 downloads on Apple Podcasts. I'm not sure why, but it did. It spiked.
Do share us. You can speak to us on social
always
media.
Give us
a wave and a nod,
a review. Leave a comment if you want. But yeah, we'll be back. I don't know when, but I'm discussing how this
options.
I'm discussing options at the minute for the show. But we'll see what happens anyway. I will let you all know, though, when the next show is. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and I appreciate the support.
Much appreciated all.
Thanks. See ya.
Have a good one.